Hi, everyone, and welcome back to a new podcast here at Sporting Global. Today, we're all, I think, sitting at home. I don't know, Gustavo, are you in the office now or are you sitting at home?
Home,
Right, so
following the guidelines.
very smart, very smart. So today, we have the honor of having you here, Gustavo. First of all, thank you for taking the time. Really appreciate it. And we're excited to learn more about you and sharing your story. So thank you for taking the time.
No, guys, thank you for the invitation. Always looking forward to share information and connect. So very happy to be here today.
Absolutely, and it's a pleasure to have you here. And Eduardo is always getting a little bit more and more into the whole podcasting. It's usually the guy behind the scenes, and I think he wants to come out of his shell and get a little bit more
comfortable. Don't get used to it.
Yeah,
I need a break.
I'm just.
It's good to be back.
My part here to just get him out in the hot water here with the podcast and everything. But he's the one that makes all the magic happen. That makes us look good. So appreciate that and thanks for joining. And Gustavo, I think we're just gonna dive right into if you could share a little bit about your story, your background, what you're doing in the sport industry right now. I think it would be great for our viewers, listeners to learn a little bit more about you.
Thank you. I was born and raised in Venezuela. It's my home country. I was formed as a chemical engineer. So I always say that I took the long route to go to sports. So I did a good 5 years of chemical engineering. Then I started my career in the oil industry, then consumer goods. And in the middle, I had the chance to do an MBA. With the opportunity, I would say, I had the chance to always work on the commercial area. So I built my career on the commercial side, a bit on sales, a bit on marketing, a bit on research. And that was technically the background. And 2015 was the year to break and to leave the country and to pursue the dream, the passion, the idea that we all have in our hearts to follow, and that was to pursue an opportunity in the sports industry.
Right.
And that's the moment where I moved to Switzerland, and that part of the story we can develop a bit quick. And now, just to properly answer, I am the head of commercial development for the International Basketball Federation, FIBA. I take care of the development. We basically are the commercial arm for the federation, with main events and all the things connected to regional offices, club competitions, and many more.
Right. I know you still kind of keep yourself within the commercial side then, but as you said and kind of mentioned here, it's talking about finally following your passion, your dream, something that you're passionate about. And let's just dive a little bit into what was it about sports that I just want to be part of this industry? What was it about the sport industry that just I gotta be part of it? This is my dream. I want to be part of sports. What was it for you?
Yeah, for me, passion for sports started from very little, home thing, from my dad going to the stadium every weekend. I started playing football since I was 4 years old.
Right.
And I managed to play second division back in my country. Was not that good. That's why I had to do chemical engineering.
Right.
I was straightforward with my skill set. And then back in the days, I always tried to connect with sports outside the field, organizing leagues, having a team there. I founded a futsal team for girls.
Nice.
I coached for a bit. But I never thought about it, or at least when I was in the university, as a professional path.
Right.
Once I am out in the market and understanding consumer behavior, understanding better how this is growing in front of my eyes as a consumer, then I said, I researched a bit, and I said that I think there is a chance not only to go to it, but also to improve, because sports is still growing, it's not a very mature industry.
Right.
And I saw an opportunity, and that was my intention was to connect what I was doing with sports and being an active part of changing life of people, the sports changed with me, with my passion
For sure.
from kid was football, but basketball is very close to my heart. So I played I play basketball too, but I was
Right.
not good at all, and didn't even make the regional team.
Right.
So the link between what I was doing professionally and what the industry, what I wanted to do that was the bridge,
For
basically.
sure, for sure. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, like, luckily you don't have to be like a pro basketball player to work for FIBA. So I think
Yeah,
I think you're
and
good on that side.
yeah,
But
and that's a message for everyone. You don't
right,
need to be good on the sport. It's actually very far from it. You need to know exactly where you add value and where are you good at it from organization point of view.
yeah,
And we need a lot of people that they don't do sport and actually they are very good at what they do
right,
to join these organizations.
and understanding the
That,
mechanisms, right?
why you choose like Switzerland?
Uh, I'll be brutally honest. I didn't choose Switzerland in terms of the country. I just was thinking on odds. I'm new in an industry. I need to have chances around to develop job opportunities.
Right.
And I found that in Lausanne, in Switzerland, the concentration of international federations, the Olympic
Yeah.
capital, and all that movement gave me, in my opinion, at the time when I did the research, more chances to have a job.
Yeah,
I consider
100%.
Madrid, I consider London, but here I thought they will be closer to the core
Yeah.
of the decision making. And then, of course, after the country gave the opportunity to fit properly in an international environment. But I will say that was the concentration of the organizations related to sports.
That makes
Yeah,
sense.
I think this is a great tip, right? Only like if you wanna like try to go abroad, try to surround you with great opportunities to, because it's not easy, right? Especially like come from like South America, like you come from far away. Like I don't know why I choose Norway. Like I know, but it was like I just wanted like something completely different, like just to
Right.
start. And it's been like quite a journey, but I think you're right. I think it's a great tip, like for those who are looking to pursue it, like a master or like to go abroad to start fresh. You try to have the most amount of opportunities around you to help you succeed.
For sure.
Yeah, and in terms of doing education, you can always check what type of organizations are connected with your university or your school. Normally, these organizations, their role is to try to make those bridges or links with these organizations,
Right.
and you will be surprised. You don't need to be connected to international federations. I know a lot of people doing master of sports with organizations that had they're very well integrated in the community,
Right.
and they know how the value that their graduates can bring, and they can
Right.
support where to put them in different clubs, in different organizations. So
Right.
you don't need to search necessarily for a big capital. You don't need to be where the big football clubs are.
Right.
You just need to understand those connections between that step, the first step, and the next one.
Well, but let's talk a little bit about the challenges though that you were facing and kind of like that you had to tackle. Just first of all, like just taking a new career step and like, okay, I'm gonna start like fresh like again, and like, okay, where do I go from here? Okay, I'm gonna move to like a new country. I'm gonna like kind of like start with a new education, new sector. What was kind of like some of the challenges that you were facing that you saw, and talking a little bit about like how to overcome those challenges too, because like we just talked, like Eduardo moved to Norway, he already had like an MBA, like I moved to the US, like there's a lot of people like going internationally but just kind of like have to restart, whether that's like, of course, like going in a new career path or like going in a new country and like suddenly have to sort of like start from the fresh, like from the ground up, like in a new country. Like, can you just share a little bit about that?
Yeah, for sure. Challenges a lot. I will say that I had my plan, but I did mistakes, of course,
Right.
and I will share a few of them for the listeners to not to make my mistakes. But I will
sure.
quote the first class in the master. I remember was the first day. A professor that I always quote, Jim Pulcrano from IMD. He said, he asked us, guys, how many people you know in Switzerland? You just arrived. It was a class of 40 people, 39 from different countries, only one Swiss. How many people you know here? And we were very proud to say, yeah, 40, because we are a great class. We just a family. We're a new family. And the guy was so disappointed to our excited answer, because he was trying to advise that it is very important to build a connection, a strong work connection in the community that we were looking. And that was one of my mistakes. I assumed that coming from an international company, I used to work in an international company in Venezuela. I had a certain level of seniority that I could leverage on that seniority to make that bridge to the industry. And I was out of the box, but not in the good way, in the very bad way. I was not, and the reason is because the industry is very small. The industry is very, very small. It's growing. A lot of people is coming. A lot of organizations are adapting to this growth, but the reality is still small. So what it's very important, and that was, I would say, the most important lesson I got, and I didn't got it properly at the first day of class. I had to struggle a lot to look for a job. It was a long period of failing online applications. Was that I had to build in my time as a student, or before, if possible, and this is an advice, if you can do it, if you can do this before you enroll on your program, to build a community of people that can endorse your job. People who can say, you are good, I've worked with you, and that level of endorsement is key, because it is when you are in the situation of an applying of a job, you will be joining 200 people, 100 people, 50 people, and this is only one position.
Very competitive.
Exactly. And full of good people. You have a lot of good profiles. So it's very difficult to discard from CV point of view. It's very difficult to select the top 5. You cannot do 20 interviews. You might do only 5. So that first race to be in the top 5, top 7, to get an interview, that reference is very, very important. And I will say that in my case, I underestimate that. And in my story, and again, not for people to repeat, I was applying a lot, I would say in a cold matter, applying here, applying there, applying here, applying there. And all due respect to the process, it should follow that way. And I encourage people to understand the process. But then now, after 5 years on the other side, I can tell you that when we're looking for a person, we ask for references. We check in the market. We ask to our colleagues. We look for someone who have had the experience, because the learning curve is very short. And we need people that have the right attitude, the right personality, the right soft skills, along with certain hard skills. And that is something that, in my case, it took me a while. It took me more than a year to understand. And luckily, I had the chance to change it, and the strategy changed where I was looking for a job, and then made the connection to start my journey with the Basketball Federation.
Looking into the future, the beginner faces a choice that leads him to the triumph, or not. Being surrounded by like-minded professionals can be the best guarantee that you actually take that crucial career step.
Sport in Global is a digital network for sports jobs. It gives you the chance to be involved in the sports industry no matter who you are, regardless of gender, nationality, and experience.
Our AI system matches up talent with human resources. Candidates who align with the company's values and needs immediately get shortlisted. It saves time for HR and increases the opportunities available to applicants.
The platform identifies tailor-made recommendations based on user needs, so you're always aware of the possibilities out there right now.
Sport in Global is a place where students gain key tips about jobs and build the valuable connections that are essential for people at the beginning of their career path.
The path from candidate to champion starts with a single step in the right direction. Sign up to Sport in Global.
Sport in Global, the best way to enter the sports industry.
It's great, and I think like you brought up a lot of good topics here that I think a lot of people can relate to. And I think like it's a little bit about like, I think people are also like a little bit, oh, right, yeah, like I'm doing like this, master or bachelor in sport management. I'm gonna, like be the CEO. I'm gonna be like the director of marketing. I'm gonna like do a lot of stuff, and they're like, and then you're just like, but okay, let's take
I just need a chance. I just need a chance. I'm very good. I need a chance.
Let's take a step back, right? And look about like, where do you have to begin, and like take those, necessary steps. And you talk about like, how small the industry is. We always talk about like, it's essentially everyone knows each other. It's almost like a small city, in the sense where like everybody knows each other. And it obviously makes it a challenge coming in, if you're very new, because obviously, as you said, start building your network and find people that, that can vouch for you, that can like, that know that you can bring value. And I think like one of the tips, at least I learned in the US, was like, and that was like specifically when you were a student, of course, but doing informational interviews, talking with people, learning, about their expertise, their knowledge, and sort of like what we're doing, right? In a sense of like, building a forum where they can learn from like, okay, what is our challenges? What is the mistakes? What is the, success stories that we are sharing? Obviously in this case, it's your story. And it like, for all you listening to, if you want to reach out, to like any of us, feel free to do so. And, we'll happy to answer any questions you have. Obviously, I'm not going to like answer for Gustavo, but,
No,
as we know, it's important to give back and help each other in this challenging journey. And if we're going to look a little bit into like now, okay, you're about to kind of like change your game plan a little bit. What was kind of like the final steps that you were taking that was like realizing, okay, this is what I have to do. This is going to change my game plan. And in actually, okay, now I'm going to get that job that I want.
Yeah, I think you mentioned something very important, that that ideal job definitely exists, but there are many steps before that ideal position. And I think it's very important that you understanding the structure of an sport organization, you have a clarity on what are those steps. In many cases, in my experience here in Switzerland, you need to start as an intern. I started as an intern, and now I'm happy with the position I am. But my first 6 months was an intern after being a senior manager back in my country, and it's part of the game. And it is not what I planned, but then I understood that that was the way to start in. And I'm not saying to everyone that they need to go that deviate on their path that they have in their mind. But once you understand the industry and you see that the intern position in the sports industry is a very important one, and it's very needed, and it's the easiest way for federations to test people before doing that step. You will, when you compare the amount of internships available versus fixed positions, you understand that there is a path to follow there. So that I think is just an important remark. And to answer the original question, the two steps or the two key things I believe that I used to change my strategy or to adjust in the game was, one, connect with the people who could actually vouch for me and forget about all those beers that I had with the friends on coffees and all the people that we had this chit chat. It's good. They are nice and they're part of the community, but we're not the people that they will be able to say, Gustavo's good, I will recommend you that person. So I'll focus on my list. My list was 3 people. That's 3 persons that were the ones I found that could vouch for my job after 1 year in Switzerland. I'm not proud of that number, but that was my number. That was my list. And so that was the first. And the second one, and this is an advice that I keep continuing giving to people, because I experience working at FIBA when people reach out to me, be confident enough to take a position. If you're looking to add value or to join an organization from a sponsorship point of view, be bold and try to propose something. What do you believe will you be changing or adding to the conversation? This is how we do. Not trying to be ultra smart. It's just, this is what I believe can be done better, because it is needed, that type of I would say, profile. So it's nice to have conversations, but when you are networking with the people, try to identify what is your area, what is your specialization, where you add value. Are you good with numbers? Are you good with tickets? Are you good with experience, fan engagement? Have you done something? Have you tested with your football club, with your basketball club? Have you done this before, and you are building your own business case? Those are the things that will make you stand out, because are ready to plug in. Even if that conversation is not necessarily for a change or that won't be implemented right away, it is important to define your area. I receive a lot of calls, people, I want to work in sports, I want to work in basketball. And when I reply the question, what do you want to do? What is your area? And it's, I would like to do
like specific sector, right? Or like that you want to, and it's key, as you know, I'm sorry for interrupting you, but like it's key, like knowing your skill set and where you can bring value. Like, what is your strengths? What is your weaknesses? And of course, like both sides, in order to know where to improve. And I just wanted to bring in Edu here too, because obviously, you know, I think like people may be getting tired of hearing your saying like oh,
I'm learning. I'm just learning here.
But I think like I just want to bring up like something when Gustavo talks about like bringing value, right? And I think like when I got like you here, like Eduardo, it's like you were like very clear from the beginning, like this is what I can do, and like this is where I can, like we have to do this and this and this, and I'm like, it was easy for me, you know, because he brought something that I couldn't do myself and that I knew was important for us. And I think like, I mean, like that's what he had to do. And you see, it works. And I'm like, you can already talk a little bit about it yourself, Eduardo, and like what you were kind of like proposing from your side, of course.
Yeah, I had an experience to live in England in 2010, where I did a lot of mistakes. Like all the type of mistakes that I could do, I did in England. And when I went back to Brazil, I knew that I wanted to come back to Europe to do my master. So I had like a idea that, okay, I can't do this, otherwise everything is going to go wrong and I will be back to Brazil. So, and I knew that the master was a great opportunity to join the industry here, because I had like most of the master, they have like, you have to do like an internship as a part of the program. So I said, this is what I have to do, because then the organizations will give me like space to talk with them, and perhaps the university will help me to talk with the organization, and I just need one shot to prove my value. So then I, of course, in Norway, especially Molde, is very hard because it's a very small city. There's no lot of like great opportunities, especially because of the language. Like after 3 years now, I'm learning Norwegian finally. But
he's getting there.
Yeah, a little bit. And so when I talked to Ali, I said, look, I can do this. I think we should do that. And he said at the beginning, he said, no, like you're too experienced. Well,
I didn't say no, but I said like,
kinda.
why are you applying for this internship? It doesn't make sense to me, you know?
Yeah, so the first one, because like I need like an internship to graduate. And of course I want to start to work. I don't want to be like just a student. So that's why. And I said, look, I think we of course I got the pillars from the company: network, experience, and knowledge. I said, I think we should do this. And I think everything that we talk now is basically the same thing that we're doing to make our company to succeed, because we are like young professionals. Like my experience in Brazil, like Ole had experience, knowledge, but in Norway, but we want to go global, understand the needs, and how we can create value for people to understand what we're doing. It's networking, gain experience, and sharing the knowledge, share the experience from people from the industry. And the way that we decided we could start was first with our friends. Let's start with the friends who work in the industry. So we started a blog, we started the video interviews, and this helped us to grow. Like, and this is a point, like we never met before, and through like recommendation, like for a good friend that was the ASTS, like a former Olympic volleyball player, he said, no, talk to Gustavo, I think it'd be great. I said, yeah, for sure.
Here we are.
and here we are. And it's funny that we just found out that we know Elvis as well, that he worked with us, we helped him in Norway as well. That's a great friend of ours. So I think this is interest, but I always knew what I can do. And all this been 2.5 years now, we've been learning a lot. And I always try, okay, where and how we can improve. And then we just go together, right? And of course, always trying to bring like good people to join the company. And like, I'm not afraid to have a person better than I in what I'm doing now. So like, this is going to help us to evolve and keep us pushing to be a better professional and better people.
Yep.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think like also one thing you touched upon is, how essentially this link, with Gustavo got built. And again, like we know someone, that is in your network, and like it just showcases like Brazil, Norway, Venezuela.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing.
It proves like how small the industry is, and just what we were saying, right? How like everyone knows each other. It kind of is, once you're inside, like you have like those little key points. You're like, maybe you don't know directly someone, but there's probably someone in your network that knows someone in that organization or that country. So.
And like, just to add like two things, Ole, sorry, very
for sure.
Very one is about the ideal job that you brought up, Gustavo, that I didn't know Sporting Global to be my ideal job. I never thought about Sporting Global, but we're making this to be our ideal job. The way our values, the way that we work, what we want to achieve, like we make this work. Okay, now this for me is the perfect job. So. And I think this can help with any organization. If you enter and you feel comfortable in there, of course, like you can make this your ideal job. Depends a lot on you as well. Not only, of course, if you want some organization that you don't have the same values, that is something that we have in our company that you want to help is right. You're not gonna fit, but you can make it work. And yeah, I think it was this.
Yeah, no, I agree. And like, Gustavo, if we're just gonna start to like wrap up a little bit here, and if you like just want to like have like some concrete, sort of like tips, advice for like.
Can I add a question? And you entered as intern like 5 years ago, right?
Yeah.
And in addition to that, what Ole said, like, how big is your team now? Like, after 5 years, like, what is your like? And how is it? And of course, all the tips Ole said. I'm just curious about it.
Yeah, it was a funny journey, and I will make a very long story short. Yeah. I saw an opportunity on an area that I didn't want to do, which was research, and that's how I managed to present my value internally. But then my ideal job was to support federations on this idea of sustainability and making sure that they were able to make money and not not feeding them, but them hunting. That's our philosophy. Right. And back in the days, that idea was not, we were not in that page as an organization. So I could not develop myself in that. So it took me 4 years of doing other things and understanding the organization and basically that position was open for me back in January. So we built it together within the organization. So nice. FIBA is a big one. We have regional offices. We don't have conferences. We have regional offices. So basically, that's all those teams in those continents are working with me in different projects. Right. So to tell you a number, I don't have an exact number of people reporting because I'm working with different projects ad hoc. But at the moment, it's more than 7 projects going in parallel in Africa, wow. Europe, Asia, and Americas. And this is what I was looking for 5 years ago, but took a while to understand. So to use that comment and wrap up, it is important to understand the game. It is important to understand the conditions. If you come from another industry, if you didn't have experience in the industry, it's very important to know the industry because it's particular. Right. It's not good or it's worse. Or it's not better or worse, sorry. Right. It's not good or bad. It's just different and it has singularities and in every country might be a bit different. So take your time to understand. What's the best way to enter? What's the best way to evolve? It's some organizations are pyramidal, some organizations are very horizontal, and on all of them, you need to apply a different strategy in order to achieve what you want. So take your time to understand and follow the process as you feel you're comfortable, because there is not a recipe, there is no clear path. Just feel good about what you're doing once you understand the game. Because once you apply the rules, even if you are playing away, because this is what I say when we have to, as an immigrant, you had it in the US, Eduardo had it as Brazilian in Norway, you're playing as an away team. Right. So adapt to that, and that will help you to achieve your objectives, basically.
Yeah, I think it's a perfect way to wrap up the, this podcast. We could probably, talk a lot about like tips, and how to, just transfer into a new country, what things to keep in mind, and all this kind of stuff. But I think, like, as you said, wrapping it up, industry knowledge, understanding, again, also, as you said, very specific, like, to the country, right? Like, what makes US market unique, what makes Switzerland, like, you have all the federation, like, keeping that in mind. And then, of course, taking the time of understanding also how you can provide value. Where can you provide value? And I think, like, to wrap it up as well, of course, it's aim high, aim like for, big position, aim for, whatever you want to work, but realize that there are steps you have to take, and realize that you have to start from the beginning, and also that there might come opportunities that you would never thought, would be a great fit or that would be suitable for you. And then, it could turn out to be an amazing experience. And regardless, at least you will get the experience. So take the opportunities that are out there. And with that, Gustavo, I would like to thank you so much for the time, for joining our podcast. Like I said, it's been a pleasure having you here, and thank you for sharing all of your good advice and tips. So with that, I would just like to finish with Vi snakkes, which means see you later in Norwegian.